welcome back today to my Spider-Man review series, and today we have a special ghost.
What's up?
And we're here talking about the brand new Spider-Man No Way Home movie. Right now you're talking about non-spoiler, and we'll get into spoilers in the next video. So, non-spoiler opinion, we'll start with him first. What did you think of Spider-Man No Way Home non-spoiler?
I thought it was pretty good. Like, seeing a darker side of Spider-Man that we've never seen before really just kind of caught me off guard. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were blown away because we've never seen that side of Spider-Man come out before.
Yeah. And then, of course, the where we left off with Spider-Man and Far From Home with the Mysterio identity and stuff. Do you think they wrapped that up pretty well?
I think they took care of it pretty well.
Yeah. So before we go into more of the detail, just give you a general synopsis of what is your Spider-Man fandom. Like, just give you like a brief, like, what's your fandom on Spider-Man?
Oof. I've always grown up with the original Spider-Man.
Tobey ones?
Yeah. Ever since I was a kid, that's the only one I've liked. Was Tobey Maguire. That's it.
So even Spider-Man 3 you've also liked?
Yeah, I thought it was good. They could have made Venom a little bit bulkier though, in my opinion.
And what about the Andrew Garfield movies?
Ooh, I think the first one was pretty good, just the way the suit looked. But the second one after that, I was glad to see that they brought back the classic red and blue.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just, it could have been better. In my opinion, it could have been better.
Yeah. So were you excited when they announced the new Tom Holland reboot?
I was actually.
Yeah. So when we got like Homecoming and like Far From Home and stuff, were you pretty satisfied with those, or were they kind of like they didn't feel like Spider-Man, but they were Spider-Man, or at least not Spider-Man you know, like Tobey Maguire and all that?
I think it was like a mix between all of them in a way. It was like a mix in between all of them.
So would you say this movie is your favorite in the Tom Holland trilogy?
Probably, yes.
Probably so. Okay. So outside of that, what else do you think about the movie? Like, of course, we've seen, this ain't spoilers, we've seen in the trailer, Green Goblin's back, Doc Ock's back, Electro, Lizard, Sandman, all of them. Do you think they all were pretty good in this movie, all the villains and stuff?
Yeah, I'm glad to see, I'm glad that they're back. That was pretty cool.
What would you say is your favorite, of course not speaking spoilers, but what would you say is your favorite sequence with one of those characters?
Ooh. Probably the one with Electro.
The one with Electro? Yeah, would you say that because he was blue in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he kind of was a meh person in Amazing Spider-Man 2, would you say that he was better in this movie? Electro?
I think he was a lot better.
A lot better in this movie?
A lot better.
What would you say was one villain that they kind of didn't do so well with in this movie? I didn't necessarily have any villain problems with this movie, but I could definitely see somebody watching this movie and being like,
I have two, actually. There's two that they could have done better with. They could have done better with Sandman, and they could have done better with the Lizard.
The Lizard? I can understand that. I mean, with the Lizard, there's not really much you can say with the Lizard. I mean, because he was just a lizard. With Sandman, I could understand that, but he's kind of a complicated character, so they couldn't really go into that much. But outside of that, I thought it was really good. Actually, I definitely think this is probably, and I hate to say this because I'm not the type of person to say this, I think this might be the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time.
Hands down, hands down.
Like, I agree. Again, I'd have to watch it a second time and really digest it and really watch like the Raimi movies again or the Andrew Garfield movies again. But it honestly might be the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. Not just outside of. Just outside of just the whole multiversal stuff that we're getting into, like the villains and stuff, just the story of this movie was just really good. You know, him trying to figure out his identity, him trying to just do the right thing when he really didn't do anything. You know, when
trying to figure out his personal problems.
Exactly. And I think to me, if you look at all the best Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse, they are Spider-Man movies, but they're also human movies. They're all about, like, trying to figure out balancing issues and what's my place in this world and stuff like that. And I'm glad they touched on those themes in this movie, because those Tom Holland movies, while I enjoy them, Homecoming and Far From Home, they definitely lacked that for me. Like, they are good Spider-Man movies, but they're just fun Spider-Man movies. They're not Spider-Man 2 or, like, serious Spider-Man movies for me. Where they definitely went more into, this is Spider-Man. Like, you know, he's not a teen anymore. He has to grow up, get responsibilities for his actions and stuff like that. So I liked that aspect of it. I thought it was really good. And I will say, too, the theater that we went to go see this in, the crowd. the crowd
That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
I would say probably more so than Endgame. Probably more so than Endgame. So, I don't know. If you had to give a rating system, what would you give it? Because I'd give it personally a 9 out of 10, just for, like, with no spoiler. And again, it's really sorry if this review non-spoiler is very short or anything. There's really not a lot to say about this movie that you can't go into spoilers about. There's just way too much. So if everything sounds brief or everything sounds like basic, it's just because there's a lot to talk about. I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like talking about Endgame, but without talking about the big shit. You know, so it's really hard to talk about this movie without talking about the big shit that happens in this movie. Other than everybody was great, villains were cool, actions were cool, story was great. That's it. Like that's really all you can say. So, but rating wise, what would you probably give it?
Okay, I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10, 5 stars.
10 out of 10, 5 stars.
Easy.
Okay. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10, only because I have 2 major problems with this movie.
Okay.
And they're not really major; they're just nitpicks. The first 30 minutes did feel a little rushed. When they were very much going really quick through that whole Mysterio identity thing, which I understand. They got to get to the multiversal stuff. They got to get to the meat.
They got to build up to it.
Yeah, I get it. They got to get to the meat of the movie, but it just was a little too quick. It was a little too, like, his identity revealed, he's having problems, let's resolve it, here's the spell. And it's like, that was a little, like, the first 30 minutes just feels like, the first 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes feels like its own separate movie, if you think about it. Like, the first 30 minutes is its own separate movie, and then the rest of it's own separate movie. So it's like 2 different movies into one, which fits perfectly, and it does feel nice, but just the first 30 minutes alone was a little too pacey. And then for me, I felt like, because I am a big Green Goblin fan, I know how much I love Green Goblin, y'all saw the first Spider-Man review I did, I felt like we didn't get enough of the classic suit of Green Goblin. That was my only thing. It was like, literally, he shows up for, what, 30 seconds? A minute, maybe, in the original costume, and then it's gone. And it's like, I wish I would have saw a little bit more, because you got Doc Ock looking like himself, you got Electro looking like himself, and Green Goblin, as you can see in the trailer, he stops wearing the original outfit throughout the rest of the movie, and so it's very much, I missed that classic costume. So that was the only 2 problems I really had, was just the first 30 minutes was a little rushed, and we didn't get enough of the classic suit of Green Goblin. That's for me though, so that's why I give it a 9. And it's not that big of an issue. They topped themselves. There was plenty of things in this movie that made me love it more than dislike it, but those are just the 2 things I personally were like, wish I would have seen more of. So, but you give it, what, a 10? You said 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Not bad at all, to be honest with you. Especially since, if you think about it, this movie could have easily been a Spider-Man 3 situation all over again. Too crowded, too stuffed, too much going on, and without getting into it and saying exactly why it's too crowded and too crushed, they did a perfect job, honestly. And I actually like the way that we left this version of Tom Holland. It makes me excited for the future of this version now, because we kind of left him in more of a Spider-Man-y, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
we kind of left him in more of a, he's Spider-Man now. He's not Spider-Kid, he's Spider-Man. And so I like the way that we left the character off in this. So you give it a 10, I give it a 9 out of 10. Not a bad thing at all. And I definitely would say, definitely for a fact, I'll see it in theater. For sure. Don't pirate this. Don't go on internet looking up spoilers or anything like that. You need to experience this movie in the theater with other Spider-Man fans. You're nudging each other and getting excited, because that's what it's all about. And for everybody that was bitching last year during COVID, was like, we need that theater experience. This is the theater experience. This is the greatest theater experience you could have since Endgame right now. So if you are a Spider-Man fan, or you just love the MCU, or you miss seeing these classic villains on the big screen, go see this movie, because you will not be disappointed whatsoever. So that's all basically I gotta say without being no spoilers. Great movie, awesome movie, excited for the future of the MCU and the future of Spider-Man. So, but we will definitely go more into detail into our spoiler review. So I'll see y'all over there.
See ya!